A grinding, humming noise that gets louder the faster a car goes is one of the most ignored warning sounds on the road, and it's often the first sign of a wheel bearing that's quietly failing. Wheel bearings might be small, but they carry the entire weight of a vehicle while allowing the wheels to spin freely, and when one starts to go bad, the consequences range from an expensive repair to a wheel locking up completely while driving. Before getting into what to do about it, anyone who finds this helpful should hit subscribe, because this channel breaks down exactly what these noises and symptoms mean in plain English, without the confusing jargon most repair shops throw around. And new videos come out covering the exact problems drivers are dealing with right now. The first and most recognizable sign is a low humming or growling noise that changes pitch with vehicle speed. Unlike tire noise, which stays fairly constant, a bad wheel bearing tends to get louder as speed increases and can sometimes change in tone when turning left or right, since turning shifts weight onto one bearing more than the other. The second sign is a grinding or grating sound, which usually means the bearing has worn down significantly and metal components are now making direct contact with each other. This is a more advanced stage of failure and shouldn't be driven on for long, since the bearing can seize or fail completely without much additional warning. The third sign is a vibration felt through the steering wheel or floorboard that intensifies with speed. Because the wheel bearing directly affects how smoothly the wheel spins, excessive play or wear translates into a vibration that many drivers initially mistake for an unbalanced tire or an alignment issue. The fourth sign is uneven tire wear that doesn't match typical alignment problems. A worn bearing allows tiny amounts of wobble in the wheel assembly, which can cause the tire to wear unevenly across its surface in a pattern that's different from what alignment issues normally create. The fifth sign is a clicking or clunking noise, particularly noticeable when turning. This can indicate that the bearing has developed enough play to allow slight movement in the hub assembly, which becomes more pronounced under the lateral forces of turning. The sixth sign is the ABS warning light illuminating on the dashboard. Many modern wheel bearing assemblies have a built-in wheel speed sensor for the anti-lock braking system. As the bearing wears and the hub begins to wobble, that sensor can send inconsistent signals, triggering an ABS fault even though the actual anti-lock system itself is completely fine. Now, for anyone hearing these symptoms and needing to get somewhere safely before reaching a garage, there are a few things worth knowing. First, driving at lower speeds significantly reduces the load and heat placed on a failing bearing, so slowing down and avoiding highways when possible buys valuable time. Second, avoiding sharp or aggressive turns reduces the lateral stress that can cause a heavily worn bearing to fail suddenly. Third, it's worth pulling over periodically to physically check if the wheel in question feels unusually hot to the touch, since a failing bearing generates excess friction and heat, and a wheel that's noticeably hotter than the others is a sign the problem is progressing quickly and driving should stop as soon as possible. Fourth, a quick and free diagnostic anyone can do in a driveway is to jack up the car, grab the tire at the 12 and 6 o'clock positions, and try to rock it. Noticeable play or looseness almost always confirms a bearing problem rather than a brake or suspension issue, which helps when explaining the problem to a shop and avoids getting sold unnecessary repairs. As for prevention, wheel bearings typically last between 80 and 100,000 miles, but that number drops significantly with certain driving habits. Repeatedly driving through deep water or flooded roads can force water past the bearing seals, washing out the internal grease and accelerating corrosion. Hitting potholes and curbs hard sends shock loads directly into the bearing assembly, which is one of the most common causes of premature failure. Regular tire rotations are also worth mentioning here, since technicians often catch early bearing play during that service, long before it becomes an audible problem. For anyone who tows or carries heavy loads regularly, upgrading to a higher load-rated bearing during replacement can meaningfully extend lifespan compared to a standard replacement part. Replacing a wheel bearing typically costs between $250 and $450 per wheel depending on the vehicle, and it's not a repair worth delaying. Continuing to drive on a severely worn bearing risks the wheels separating from the vehicle entirely while in motion, which turns a moderate repair bill into a genuinely dangerous situation.
Catching these 6 signs early, understanding what to do in the moment, and knowing how to prevent premature wear gives any driver both the safety and the savings that come from staying ahead of the problem instead of reacting to it. If this kind of practical, no-nonsense car help is useful, subscribing means never missing the next video, and there are a lot more common car problems still to cover.